This week, Jock McGregor joins us in the studio as Sorrel notches up their second win for the season. Richmond carves up Dosa with a blitzing second half at Richmond Oval. There's street talk from Newtown Oval and Furphy Play of the Day. It's all here on The Map.
Welcome to The Map. I'm Tubes Taylor. We are joined, of course, this week again by Aaron Roberts. Welcome, Peach.
Yeah, g'day, Tubes. Great to be here again.
Terrific to see you, mate. And, of course, this week we've got the coach of the Richmond Blues, Alex Gilmour. Welcome, Rat.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll go through your game in just a few moments. We're going to quickly go through the Old Scholars scores this week. It was OHA who defeated Hutchins by a solitary point out there at Gilson Bay. Richmond over the top of Dosa in a fast finish by 63, and University got the better of St Virgil Saints. Now, Peach, you were out there at Richmond Oval. How did you see it?
Yeah, no, it was an awkward third quarter. We got there right on half time, and I don't know, Rat, you'll give us some insight into the breakdown, because you guys dominated the middle of the ground. You had a better style of football. You kept possession. Your kicking skills and decision making was great, but you didn't score. What was the problem? Where was the breakdown?
Yeah, we went in at half time, probably a little bit frustrated, everyone was. We thought we controlled most of the first half. We were just breaking down. We thought just one link of the chain. We caused a couple of,
Was that you not playing?
No.
There are some injuries though, Rat.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of injuries, but the breakdown...
Yeah, we'll just it might have been a kick or a drop mark somewhere, just when we thought we were going to get a good forward 50 entry, we'd break down somewhere. But certainly our main issues at the moment are our entry going inside forward 50. We're missing some key players down there, and it's certainly affecting us putting the score on the board. Yeah.
You did have Luke Adams down there, one of my personal favourites. I love the way he plays footy. I also love the flowing mane of hair that he's got going down there. But he gives you a target down there, but unfortunately you lack that big target like yourself who's out with injury at the moment.
Yeah, we do. We're trying to invent a few things down there. Obviously Ashton Arnold's missing through injury at the minute. He's close to returning. Same with Ben Morrison. Two really, really key players to our side. But Luke's been excellent this year. We're obviously a genuine midfielder, but we've had to swap him down there, down deep, down forward. Also with young Kobe Phillips, another fella that who plays midfield, but we've had to put down there forward at different stages just because we haven't got the players.
Where do you want to play someone like Kobe? Because he sort of played on the wing and through the middle a little bit. Where do you want to actually play him?
It'd be nice to have him in half-back, wing and forward.
Yeah.
He's in that sort of form at the moment, but his genuine spot's on a wing, and once we get our key players back into our forward line, Kobe will be settled back down onto the wing.
Get a look at that flowing mullet right there on screen. Oh, Lukey Adams. His brother Jack plays well as well. For a 17-year-old, he's doing pretty well to play senior footy at Richmond Footy Club.
Yeah, he is. Jack, he obviously came along with Luke at the start of the year. Only 17 years old, played his best game for the footy club on Saturday. Certainly, it's a real learning curve for him this year. He's come from obviously playing at Brighton when not used to winning too many games and playing in a side. No disrespect to them, but hasn't won too many games in the last couple of years. And Jack's come to us, so he's just got to settle himself into our culture and the way that we want to play our footy. And he's learning, he's growing, he's progressing, and I think from here on in he's going to be a lot better each week.
So I want to touch on your back line, because I've watched you guys over the last few weeks, a couple of games, and I really rate your back six, particularly Dunn, Cook, Woolley, Anderton and co. Palmer as well, and Hoppert, who's injured at the moment. Is that something you've put a focus on?
100%, Tubes. They're my most valued part of my football side. They work extremely hard as a group together. They do. Since 2015, I think we've had the least points kicked against each, up until the end of the roster season each year. So it's no surprise that I certainly believe that we've got the best back six in the comp, and we have done for a few years now. And they know each other's game well. They play really well together. They link up with each other. They defend well, and they're just a really, really tight back six. They always have been. Because
traditionally, I would think that Cook would be more of a midfielder, but he just gives you a bit of run through that half back line.
Yeah, he's he had a bad shoulder. We've had shoulder problems for a couple of years now. And he came back into it sort of last year and played in the reserves. But previous to that, he was an Old Scholars Team of the Year member in the back pocket. So it's good to have him fit again, and he's just one of those smalls that a bit like Jacob Dunn. They're good defenders, but they also just give us that run and that link and that carry off the half back line that we really, really need. So they're both exceptional small defenders, those two.
Yeah. Aaron?
Yeah, well, a bit of a turnaround from last week, right? You had a kind of like touched up a little bit for parts of the game.
Definitely.
Are you a very much better side at Richmond? on that ground?
Well, we did play OHA at Richmond too, so that was there. It's a funny one. I mean, we had 2 weeks off. We don't use that as an excuse, but we were in a bit of a tapering off period as well, the week or so leading into the 2 weeks off. So the boys didn't do much training at all for 2.5, 3 weeks. So many blokes were going down injured, so I made the call to just to taper them off a bit, and it's as flat as I've ever seen us play a game of footy for 4 quarters. So I was really, really disappointed with us. But,
and you're having a rest this week as well.
Yeah, it's a stop-start.
So one game is really a month, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, in that game, full credit to OHA, as I said after the game in the club rooms, they were really impressive, OHA, for the 4 quarters. Some good, their top-end players played really well, and the margin should have been a lot greater than the 40-odd points that it was. Yeah.
Now we're going to reflect on your 2017 grand final win, last year's grand final win. We've got some footage here on Duff TV that we're going to reflect on now. Mate, it was a terrific game by you guys, and you were quite emotional at the end. Was it just a bit of release after the big year that you've had?
Well, they're just, they're so hard to get to. I mean, I've only had grand final success since I've been at the Richmond Footy Club, and we won the flag in 2015, lost it by a couple of points in 2016. I remember that feeling at the end of the game after Uni beat us. You think to yourself, are you going to get there again? Is it going to happen again? And we were pretty confident going into that grand final against Hutchins. We had the week off. We were fresh. We knew they had a couple of tough games leading into the grand final, but when that siren goes, even though the margin was fairly significant, to realise that you've played and coached in another grand final and got the job done, it's a good feeling. Yeah. Are
you a chance to go back to back this year? Do you rate yourself as good as you? No, I mean, you lost a lot of players this year. You lost 11, was it, from last year's grand final side? So half your side essentially that's gone. Are you able to go back to back this year?
Yeah, well, as I say, we had 11 that played on the weekend that didn't play in last year's grand final side. I think we can get there again for sure. Yeah, it's this year's been a little bit harder as far as us as coaches. We've had to teach and educate a lot of these new players that have come to the club about our culture and our style, how we want to play football. But I think they're going to build really, really nicely, and I think once we get our key top-end players back and everyone gels together a little bit better, I certainly think that we can be right up there in the finish again.
Taking a look at the ladder there, Aaron, you still agree with me that the top 5 is really tight?
Well, I think top 4 specifically, and if Hutchins are always good around finals time, aren't they? It's a crazy close ladder. I think OHA on their day and probably Richmond, the 2 sides that stand out for me. Yep. However, SFL versus Old Scholars, if that was to happen this year, Alex, who do you think would win?
Yeah, I think the Old Scholars, and fairly easily too, to be honest.
Big call from Gilmour. Well, that's big.
The map went to see the 2 bottom sides on the weekend. We've got Jock coming in a little while, and then we tripped 15 minutes up the road and saw a second half of your game. There was a substantially big difference. Decision making, ball use, position of players when they were at stoppages.
Yeah.
The Sorrell Brighton guys, no disrespect to them, their positioning at stoppages was nothing like what you guys were doing. So it seems like a big gap certainly between the top and their bottom.
Yeah, I think the style of football is a lot different. I think a lot of coaches sort of say that. The style of SFL compared to Old Scholars is a lot different, more congested and contested in SFL compared to the Old Scholars. But I just think over the last few years, the Old Scholars has got a lot stronger, and I just think the top end players, the top 4 or 5 players at each Old Scholars club are better than the SFL clubs, and I'm pretty confident that if there was a game next year, the Old Scholars would come out victors.
Well, there you go. Rat Gilmour's the only one that's put it on the line there for you folks, and he reckons that the Old Scholars would beat the SFL if there were a game played this year. Hopefully it happens next year. We might leave it there, Rat. We've of course got this down here. Look at this, mate. A 6-pack of the finest furphy for you for coming in, mate. So that's all for you. We're going to take a quick look now at some street talk that I did out at the bike track where University played St Virgil's last week. On particularly that topic, SFL versus Old Scholars next year. Thanks very much for joining us, Rat.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back in just a few moments. What do you think? Who's going to win SFL versus Old Scholars next year?
It's a tough one, Tubes. Heart says Old Scholars, head says SFL, I reckon.
I decided probably SFL, yeah.
Really? There we go. So one each. One SFL, one Old Scholars. Thanks very much.
I think it'll be a pretty tight contest, but I'd have to go the Old Scholars.
Righto.
Well, look, I'd have to say the Old Scholars. But I'm saying that with little knowledge of the SFL. So, but some of the quality of the players out there are pretty good.
G'day fellas, Tubes Taylor here with a map. We're just going around asking a quick question about the SFL Old Scholars game next year. They're talking about having a rep side between the SFL and the Old Scholars. Who do you think will win?
SFL.
Easy?
Yeah, I reckon, yeah.
I'm of the same opinion as my son, actually.
There you go. SFL, the Old Scholars will push them.
Oh, I hope so.
Thanks very much, gentlemen, for your opinion.
Hope they beat the buggers, actually.
Who do you think will win?
I'm hoping the Old Scholars will win.
All right, mate, I know you've got a very important job to do retrieving the balls, but I want to know, next year they're talking about Old Scholars versus SFL. Who wins?
I've got no idea.
SFL.
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 Now, are you two boys just agreeing because the dads have said yes or no? You're happy? Why does the SFL win, sir?
I think it's better competition.
Who wins?
There'll be no St Virgil's players in the rep game, but
we'll do the scoreboard.
We'll do the scoreboard, but it will be a close game.
Righto, it'll be a close game. Who wins?
Old Scholars, for sure.
I think it'll be a close game, as he said, but in the comps are fairly even, so I think the Old Scholars just again.
And at the very end here, you must do all the totals. So are you the
guy who can add up?
Right, I was going to say, you must be the mathematician about
I am, yes.
Who wins?
Oh, look, I'd be biased, but I love the Old Scholars. I've been here for 40 years. There's some good players, and I think if they put all the good players together, I reckon we'd have a fairly competitive team against the SFL, who I know, there's a fair bit of dollars going past, but I think we'd surprise them.
The report here is from the scoreboard at the St Virgil's bike track. It is Old Scholars all the way.
Game on.
Game on.
Another goal, boys.
Hit the front.
Again.
Still. Behind the siren.
So there we are. That was the opinion of the folk out there at the bike track at the Newtown Oval. Now, Jock McGregor joins us in the studio. Welcome, Jock.
Well, thank you for having me.
No worries, mate. What are your thoughts on Old Scholars versus SFL, or SFL versus Old Scholars, if you like? Granted, those folks were at an Old Scholars game, so their opinion may be a little twisted towards the Old Scholars. What are your thoughts?
Oh, look, I think certainly now you look at the list of the doses and OHAs and universities and such forth, and even Hutchins, like there's no reason why it wouldn't be a very competitive game. There'd be an argument that maybe, with the way the Old Scholars are set up now, that they might even produce a stronger side. They've got some fairly decent players running around in that competition, and certainly SFL has as well. But they've, it would be a really interesting game, and I'm sure it would actually garner a massive amount of interest, because it's a little bit, the north-south thing's probably died over the years. The bureaucrats made sure of that, so we don't really have that rivalry as much as now as we probably did back 15, 20 years ago. So I think an Old Scholars SFL game would really create some heat, so it'd be a great game to be involved.
All right, so there we go. Jock McGregor gives it the 2 thumbs up, the coach of the Sorell Footy Club. Now, Aaron, you're going to go through the scores from the SFL this week.
Yeah, cracking game. Halton bag 7 for Cygnet against Claremont. A little bit of an upset. Cygnet, I don't know, they've been up and down all season, but Halton with 7, dangerous forward and a really good quality team when they're going. Now, New Norfolk were behind all day against Lindisfarne. They just couldn't quite get the money. They came at them in the last quarter. In the end, they still fell a bit short. And Hobart Dodgers Ferry got the jump, but then Hobart got back up in the second quarter and had a really awesome victory. Dodgers Ferry, another team that are quite up and down so far this season.
Now, Jock, out there at Pembroke Park, you'd be pretty happy with the way that the boys went against Brighton, obviously getting the big victory by 68 points.
Yeah, look, we certainly know where Brighton are at their stage of this season, because we were in the same boat last year. So we also knew that this time last year we really looked at this game as a real possible win for us. So we certainly knew they'd be coming down there with that mindset. So we knew they'd be up and about, especially early. And I guess we just had a really clear instruction that we just needed to keep to our processes, keep running really hard and hopefully wear them out. And just because we knew they would flood into the middle to try and stop our run and play, and we'd have to play a bit wider, which we did. and they would certainly congest our forward line. But we thought if we kept going and going and going, at some point that they would tire, which certainly in the second half, I think we kicked 12 goals in the second half. So
just looking at the footage here now, you spoke to me earlier at the SFL launch, mate, and said you were coming from a long, long way back. You must be impressed with that sort of ball movement that we've just seen there. And how far have you come in this season?
Yeah, look, I'll say this to a lot of people that ask me where we're at, and I think our very best is as good as anyone. Our problem at the moment is, especially we're an extremely young side. We know that we've got 5-6 underage players from last year playing every week in the seniors. But certainly, I think we've improved out of sight. Our problem is that we can't quite get those 4 quarters together, and certainly we've probably been taken apart a few times by a key forward, because we are probably lacking a couple of defenders.
Key defender, perhaps?
Yeah, a key defender would really help us. Our key forward's out at the moment, so that's also hurting us up the other end of the ground. But hopefully Saturday we might have unearthed another forward for us to
yeah, well, that was
resolve
Lyon. I saw him in the back half, but he went forward and bagged 5. Is he a long-term option?
Oh, look, I think the way he approached the ball and hit the contest and just presents, and he's a good grab and he's a good kick, like it all lines up for us that that he could play there really well for us. So we just want someone to come out with some real intensity and really hit up and hard and hit the leads. And he busted a couple of packs.
Yeah, would that allow Solder maybe to drop back a bit deeper and that line coming further up the ground?
Definitely. And I think in that second half when we had Lyon down there, Salter actually came into the game a bit more as well. And obviously we've also set up a couple of small 2-3 really quick small forwards up there as well. And Josh McCarthy played his first game since round 3. And he was fantastic for us as a crumbing forward. I think he's had about 4 or 5 shots at goal in the third quarter, and he only got a couple, but he certainly created that middle-sized forward for us that we've been lacking as well. So we think structurally we've been working really hard on that, and that's starting to come good for us. So hopefully in the next few weeks we can get some results out of that.
You've touched on one of the Isaacs. The other Isaac I want to bring up is Isaac Bateman. I rate him. I've rated him since I watched him over at Lindisfarne against big Michael Cassidy, and he did get taken to the cleaners a little bit, but he just showed signs of being a really good footballer. What can you tell us about him?
Mate, he's all class. He's an elite player. I mean, look, he's been at Lauderdale, and Lauderdale very reluctant to let him go, to the point, even though he's our player, we still only got him on a permit, which is will certainly resolve next year because he's not going back there. He's got no intention of going back there. Look, he's had some injury issues at Lauderdale. He's come back to us. He wasn't even playing last year at all. We managed to talk him into play, and he turned up about halfway through the year. Played some fantastic games for us last year, and once again this year, unfortunately, we've had to move him from our forward line to our back line to try to help with the fact that we are undermanned down there. And he's done a fantastic job down there. But ideally, we want to keep him forward, so we've sort of swung him back in the last couple of weeks, and certainly on Saturday he was good again. But yeah, great, really good player.
His brother will be back from injury.
Joey's back, no, but we've got Jordan Latham, who's our fullback from last year.
Yes, right.
Wasn't able to play this year due to uni and work commitments up north, but some stuff's freed up for him, and he trained last week.
Yep.
And he'll be back in the mix, so he'll train the next 2 weeks, and then come up against Signet. He'll
take the place of Isaac Bateman down back.
He'll go and play fullback for us. Yeah, look, he's a fantastic fullback. Held Cassidy to a couple of goals last year at Lindisfarne, and has done the job on the big forwards for us last year. So we certainly think this year he will certainly do that job for us, which will be a big thing for us.
Terrific.
Just on Isaac Bateman, obviously got him from Lauderdale. How do you compete with Lauderdale? Dodgers Ferry are improving. Richmond, which had Brad Gilmour in, they've got a pretty awesome side, and I saw them straight after I saw your game. Yep. How do you compete against those other teams in a tight market?
Yeah, look, I think it's been, and I've only been there for a couple of years, but I think traditionally you've looked from the outside looking in, you constantly see players moving around those 3 clubs in particular, Dodgers, Sorrel and Richmond, which I found hard to sort of comprehend, because coming from Hulmeville and Commandy,
no one shared at all, did they?
Like, I'm probably the only one that swapped clubs down there. It just doesn't happen. So because that rivalry is so intense down the south, that players, if you went from Commandy to Signet, God, you'd want to be careful.
Yep.
And same with Hulmeville and such. So there wasn't that sort of movement, but down that way it seems to be a normal thing. We've certainly tried to implement to the team and the boys that, if we play for Sorrel, we play for Sorrel, and we don't change clubs every year. So we've put in some strategies around 2-year contracts and things like that. We've made a commitment as a coaching staff and as a general management of the teams, the people. We've all made commitments to the group, and we've asked that in return. So we've got most of the players on 2-3 year contracts, which we feel just takes all that junk out of it. So we let those other clubs do what they want to do. We haven't actively gone chasing any of their players. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in developing our players. So, but if any of them come on the market, or if any of them make any interest towards us, we'll certainly have a look at it. But yeah, it is a difficult one. There's three clubs very close to each other. So
now we're going to take a quick look at the ladder there, Jock. You are sitting outside of the top 5 by a couple of games, but Claremont are well and truly on top there, Aaron.
Well, they had a loss on the weekend, so they're kind of coming back to the pack, aren't they? I mean, for me, Gilmour and now Cygnet, Hobart. I don't know. It's. I thought it was Claremont and the rest, but it's a really even comp.
Jock, you think that if you can win a couple of games, you might be able to get close to finals, perhaps?
Oh, look, I guess our perspective now is that we really felt that we needed to win, a Hobart Dodgers game coming in that first round, because we always believe we've got a pretty good run home. I think we played 5 of our last 7 at home. So we always knew that we might have a chance to come home pretty hard. But we probably needed another win or 2. But look, it's not outside the possibility. Certainly our aim now is just to try to win a few games. Because at this stage we've won 2 games and both against Brighton.
Yep.
So we want now to grab another couple of scalps, and we feel like Cygnet we match up well against Norfolk. We actually think we match up all right against most of the sides. So we'll certainly be aiming to try to win as many of these games as we can. And look, the way the ladder is and the way the results are, it's I was talking to you guys last week about it with Smithy as well, that the competition is as even as I've ever seen an SFL competition, to the point where Brighton are struggling, but they were pretty good Saturday. They've certainly improved immensely from round 1.
The first 40 minutes was really competitive, wasn't it? It was quite even.
Yeah, so they've certainly improved a lot, and that's I say very similar to us last year. Like the first few rounds last year, we were struggling a bit, and then as the year went on, we felt like we got better. So we definitely feel like Brighton are heading that way as well. But the rest of the sides, on any given day, we know and we believe that we can beat anyone. But then the rest of it, you look at Cygnet beat Claremont. Dodgers beat Gilmour last week. And Hobart then pop up and beat Dodgers. So sides seem to be having these little form runs, and then all of a sudden they're coming back to earth. Even Norfolk's result against Lindisfarne was encouraging for them, obviously. But it is difficult. I mean, Claremont are good, but it's interesting you said that it's Claremont then the rest. I don't see the gap. I think Claremont are okay. I think Lindisfarne are pretty good, and on their day they could be really dangerous. Huonville actually play a really good brand of footy as well. So I think they're probably the main 3 at the moment, but Dodgers were really good against us. They played as well against us as any side has, and we felt Hobart were pretty good, and so were Cygnet. So it's an interesting comp. It'd be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Righto, Jock. Well, we do, of course, have the 6-pack of Furphy's finest there for you. Thanks for coming in and joining us. We're going to take a quick break now, and we'll be right back with a few Dave Harding picks and a little bit more here on The Map. Of course, thanks to our sponsor there, Jackson Motor Company, who are on board. Now, Dave Harding, Aaron, takes some great photos every week, doesn't he?
He's everywhere. There must be several of him because he takes a lot of photos.
Right there, we've got Martin Trinder, the president of the Lindisfarne Footy Club. He does the umpire escorts out there
and
at
some
Lindisfarne.
Of the best hair. I wish I had that hair.
Yeah, it's coming up next, the next photo there. Look at it. Look at that. Look at that, mate.
Yeah, that is magnificent.
Unbelievable. The young fella there at New Norfolk. Beautiful stuff. What do we got next? We've got the big fella Hutchinson coming over the back to spoil what was almost a mark. Looks like he's trying to catch it with his groin.
No, not bad. Not bad. A few guys lurking on the side of the pack.
And the best place to watch footy there at Lindisfarne. A terrific view from the Lindisfarne Blues.
Not one swear word comes out of that viewing platform either all day,
a few peanuts up there. So that's the Dave Harding photos for the week there, Aaron. Now, next week, where are we?
Well, I don't know. There's no SFL. There's no Old Scholars. And Duff's going on a holiday. First holiday in 15 years.
15 years.
Last time he went on a holiday, he didn't have his passport. Duff, is your passport sorted? Yep, it's all sorted.
Sure.
Okay.
So 2 weeks off here from the map. We'll be back shortly after that. So a mid-season break. All right, we're going to go into Furphy Play of the Day there, Aaron, and I think it could almost go to this man, Kobe Phillips, who kicks a beautiful goal from 50 metres almost. He kicked 3 for the day.
Yeah,
this
was
a ripper.
fantastic, right in front of our commentary position, but it's not.
It's not. No, there was a better miracle than that goal, and that is the miracle of birth. It goes to one of the map's favourites, Marek Matusek's lovely wife, Emma. Emma Matusek gave birth to the beautiful little Xavier Tadouche. There he is. Look at him.
It's got to be a rock star, surely, with a name like that.
He is. So Xavier is a brother for Annabelle and the first son of Emma and, of course, Mav. So it's not going to you, Mav. The beer is for Emma because you are the winner. Well done. So get in touch with us here, Emma Matusek, to get your carton of Furphy. Aaron, that wraps up the map for a week.
All done. We're going to have a bit of a break. Looking forward to it.
We will. We'll see you next time here on the map.